Okay, so here we are back in the ladies' room with Dr. Teresa again, the amazing Dr. Teresa. She got all the answers for all of our questions. And this is a funny one because we were working on the pelvic floor the other day, and what exercise was it that we were doing? I think it was I doing the lotto ball?
Yeah, the bingo ball.
I think
right,
it was,
yes.
yeah, the bingo ball. And I have a bit of a dirty mind sometimes, so I just came right in and I said to Teresa, yo, Teresa, I was like, has anyone ever had an orgasm while just plainly doing the pelvic floor work, just doing their exercises? Has anyone ever just, boom, like explosion, had an orgasm? And yes, Teresa, you can answer this.
Well, yes. So it doesn't happen commonly, and the reason I wanted to have this question here is twofold. Is one, I wanted to say is, yes, they can come on surprisingly sometimes. So when you wake them up, like some women is like, wake me up, I'm ready. And you're kind of ready to go right then, which is kind of awesome. But it's, so they might have been asleep and then they woke up, or they might be especially responsive and it doesn't take much, but there's all this movement. And I know, I used to ride horses a lot, and I hated that when I was in junior high and high school, or secondary school as you call it here, is like that other boys would sort of say, oh, we know why you like to ride the horses. They were always saying that the girls that like to ride horses are because they have stallion fixations and they get off and all that. So I hated stuff. I hate that whole feeling of it. But I'm a long way from there, so I totally get it. And one is, it really wakes up, so you start thinking about it and feeling it more often. So the first thing is, yes, you might, but I would not say probably anyone really has explosion in class while they're doing a pelvic floor exercise. However, they do have explosions in the bedroom, because what happens is the waking up of the pelvic floor, the way orgasm works for women is, and it's invisible, like our corset, not like men where everything hangs out. So we all know, like, men, when they're aroused, they look aroused. They get an erection. That's from a lot of blood going into their penis. And the more aroused they are, the more blood goes into it, and the more it grows and goes. And then the orgasm is when that blood is, all the muscles release and the blood drains out. So we, being, again, more advanced, because we have like the 3 holes, and we also have this ability to have multiple orgasms because our muscles fill up with blood, and they, so they can wave. That's what I call it. Is, so you're like, well, what's it like to have a multiple orgasms? And I'm like, it's like waves. So you go up, and then you kind of come back down, and then you can go back up again. And one of the main things that get in the way of our ability to do that isn't really our mind. So before you'd said is like, well, is this the strength of the pelvic floor, is how high you can get the bingo ball, like the level? And I said, no, that's in your mind. But a lot of times people think their orgasms are in their mind, but actually they haven't really trained their body to swell and squeeze, which is what is going to be the orgasm. So the more that we do this, the more we're training our body to swell and squeeze. And what you can do is train the pelvic floor so that it's able to accommodate more blood, squeeze harder, squeeze faster. That's the intensity of your orgasm. And then recover really fast so you can swell back up and squeeze again. Okay. So it's awesome for that. And go ahead.
Oh, well, no, you can, well, okay. So I was just thinking, Teresa, assuming that there is a lady watching this and she's never had an orgasm before and she doesn't know what the hell we're talking about, and she's heard it, she's read it in a magazine, she sees it on TV, movies, everyone's talking about orgasms, but maybe she's never had one before. Working on the pelvic floor, what is that going to do? Is that going to heighten somebody's chance to be able to get an orgasm, or?
Well, I think orgasms are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so really for women who haven't had an orgasm or haven't had an orgasm in a while because they're hoping for a man to do it, then there's a lot of situations where that's going to be somewhat disappointing. Okay, so, and for a variety of reasons. So you have to learn how to take care of yourself. And some women are really comfortable with their bodies and they can take care of themselves. And some women are not really comfortable with their bodies. And there are many awesome gadgets that you should experience. I guess that nobody has to do anything that they're not comfortable with. But one of the best ways to train orgasms is to train orgasms. And one of the best things women can do for themselves or their partners is to be able to, men, or it's like, oh, slow down, speed up, whatever it is. We can like just keep going. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt for you to have an orgasm immediately and then again and then again and then again. Or not, just have one and wait and build up intensity or whatever. We just have a lot more variety. But the starting point is to sort of know where it is. So I wouldn't wait for a pelvic floor class to give them that feeling, but it is going to help them respond easier and better. And it is it's just really natural. But again, in the class, one of the things that I'd like women to understand is, yes, there have been women who've had orgasm during while they're doing pelvic floor exercises. But in the beginning, anytime you move a part of your body that's been asleep for a really long time, it stretches on these nerves that have been asleep, and it's probably as common and maybe more common that women have sort of an odd, sometimes bad feeling or a nausea. And I know that there's women who've actually they got the explosion, like this, that they didn't almost feel nausea, they just threw up. And that will go away. It really is the disturbing the nerve, really. As soon as it woke up, it just kind of had a little bit of a seizure. I mean, it's not a seizure. It's really waking up that part. It's so disturbing to us. It's the gushy part.
Yeah.
Like you get in and it's getting in the gushy part. So it's not hard to get into men's gushy parts. You just kick them, okay? And then they'll just lay there, And so when you pull on all this stuff, for us, sometimes we get a bit of that reaction.
Right.
But every time you do that to a man, they will be sick and feel horrible. But this will go away as you do the pelvic floor work immediately. It usually just happens right in the very beginning. So awesome. I don't know if anyone's said anything. I think people don't. It took a while because... but I would hate that somebody dropped out because they thought it made them sick. So this is a good place to put it in.
So I mean that's gonna go away. That sickness is gonna go away.
Right away.
It's just almost
it's
like
the waking up thing.
Yeah,
it's
like,
a stretching of
here,
something. Yeah.
And it's okay. It's here now, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was. I just wanted to ask that question. It was just in my head. So I have like verbal diarrhea with Teresa. She knows that I just say whatever kind of comes into my head and just the most random questions. So that is why we're doing these chats too, is because I probably have a lot of thoughts running around in my head that you will too, but you mightn't feel comfortable. And I'm so lucky to have you because I can ask you all this stuff. Otherwise, I'm a nocturnal Googler.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
That's in the stress busting part about the lights at night. But that there are answers there. But I think that when you ask me here, we can trust the answers a little better. And I love the way that you ask questions because I know sometimes that there are women who think that's what I wanted to ask, but sometimes they go, wow, I never would have thought to ask that, and I'm so glad she did because I really want to know the information. So sometimes it's not about the answer but the question.
And she knows what type of a question it's going to be before us, because if it's like a question to do with like sex or something like that, it's like, well, Teresa, I like stall before I ask, and I'm like, how am I going to word this? So yeah, I think that's pretty cool what we got there in the orgasm. So that's awesome. So until the next time.
Alrighty.
That's good.
Okay.
See you then.